um, at this point we are going to carry on with our scene. Now to go with this table, let's start modeling a chair. Now let's create the seating surface, which is going to be done by choosing the rectangle tool, and then you click and drag out a rectangle, type 500, 500, and then choose the push-pull tool and pull this out by 20. Triple click that, right click, make group, and now we are going to rotate a copy of this surface. So to do that, let's go to the rotate tool or press letter Q. With time you're going to learn these shortcuts, and you can also find these shortcuts in the this window called preferences, and when you click on the shortcut tab, you can set your own shortcuts for whatever tool that you want to have. So for rotate, let's go to that corner and click through the arrow keys to find the appropriate axis along which we are going to rotate this. In this case, it's going to be the green axis. Click once, click along that edge, and let's rotate this 90 degrees. But before hitting enter, let's press the Ctrl key to make a copy, and then type 90 and hit enter. And now we have these two surfaces. Let's select these two and then group them by right clicking and choosing make group, or you can set your shortcut to be Ctrl G, and then you can always use a shortcut. Now let's move this up by 500 millimeters, hit enter. Now it's time to create the legs for this table. Now again, you remember how we created the legs for this? You can easily just create one leg like that, and give it some details and make it a component, and then you have that working for you. But we're not going to do this time around, because I want to use this opportunity to show you a new tool. Now there is this tool called the follow me tool, and what it does, first of all, you start with a plane. What it does is that it extrudes or pulls a face along a defined path. Yeah. So to use it, in this case we're going to use it for the legs of this chair. So we're going to first define our path by maybe using these arcs. Let's do this. Let's draw a line like that, and then create some arcs. Now we have this path right there. Now this is the path we're going to use to extrude the leg of this chair, but we need a face that will extrude along that path. Yeah, so we're going to go for a round section. Yeah, so let's choose the circle tool and click and type 30. Let's type 20. So we have this circular plane. Yeah. Now what you want to do, you want to delete all these faces, and so that you only remain with this path that we are going to use for our leg. So let's go on and choose this button called the eraser tool, and with this you can click on each of these edges and be able to get rid of them, because the edges combine to create the plane, to create the face. So by deleting these edges, you have literally deleted the face. Or you can just select the face and right click and choose erase, and now you've erased the face. So those are the ways you can delete these faces. Now we have this path and we have this plane that we're going to extrude along this path. One thing you want to do, you want the plane that you're extruding along the path to be perpendicular to the path. And by perpendicular I mean this line and this line are parallel, they never meet, but this line and this line are perpendicular, they meet. So you want this circle to be meeting. You want that circle to meet with this path at a perpendicular point at 90 degrees, you know. So let's pull this and make sure that it's aligned well. To our path. So here I'm trying to just center it. Now we have our plane, circular plane, and our path, but this path is in a group, so we need both of them to be in the same group. So to do that, triple click this circular plane and let's right click. No, in fact let's do edit, cut, and then enter this group by double clicking or by right clicking and choosing edit group, and then let's paste in place. Paste in place means it's going to paste it exactly where you cut it from. Now that you have that in, we are going to rubber band select our path and then click on the follow me tool and then click on the section that we want to follow that path. And when we do that, you notice that now we have our leg following that path. But I think this is too thick. Let's reduce the thickness of this circular plane, and this is where I get a chance to introduce a new tool called the offset tool. Now with this offset tool, it offsets the edges of planes. So when I choose this tool and I hover over my plane of face, it's going to detect the edge of this face, and then once I click once and try to drag in and out, you notice that it's offsetting another edge, and then when I click again, it has created an edge loop within that face. If I clicked outwards, it would create an edge loop around that face. So our intention here is to reduce the size of this. So we do that, choose the eraser tool and then delete that, and now we have a smaller section. Rubber band, select a path, choose the follow me tool, and then choose the section that is following that path, and now we have that creative leg for the chair. Now let's color this black or gray. Right click and make this a component, just in case you need to edit it in the future. Now let's move these into position. It's always good practice to use the corners as reference points while modeling or building up on your models. Let's rotate this. By 180 degrees. Select these two legs and let's move copies of them by choosing the move tool, clicking a point, locking these along the green axis in this case, and then hitting the Ctrl key to make a copy, and finally clicking to place. Now we have that. Select all the legs, right click and make them into one group, so that if you're to select the legs, you can select them at once. Now let's give this seat a different color. Maybe we go for the yellow, and group all these to be in one group, so that makes this object one, this object one. Now if you have grouped objects, like for example here we grouped the floor with the table, there is also a possibility, okay, to edit this you can double click to enter the group so that you can edit these individually, or you can just right click and explode. Once you explode, what that means, it has ungrouped these two objects. So now this is separate and this is separate. Now there are situations whereby your model is too big and you need to see everything that you've modeled. There is this button here, it's called zoom extents. What it does is that once you click on it, everything within your model shows up in this window. Yeah, so let's say you are looking at this and then you want to see everything. You just have to click that button, and what it does, it brings you to that point where you can see everything within the model. Now, another thing I want to show you is a little bit of lighting. If you go to view, you can decide to show the sun shadows. So as you're seeing, we now have like a light source, and which we can fine tune by moving to this default tray and scrolling down all the way until you find this tab called shadows. And here you're able to change the time of day and the altitude of the sun, so it helps you create more interesting images to showcase your product to the client. So let's grab this seed and pull it in. And another thing you can do within SketchUp is that you can roughly show the dimensions. Let's say you want to export this image, but you want your client to have an idea on how big this table is. You can easily choose this tool called the dimension tool, and then click a point, and decide where you want this dimension to be at. So now this dimension says 1500 millimeters. Click by 800 millimeters. Then maybe we dimension this chair. $500. And of course you can put as many dimensions as you want, 20. And then you can of course do file, export 2D graphic. Share with dimensions. And now our image is saved. Another important thing that you're going to be using a lot is something called layers. And to do that, let's first make this scene a little more busy. Maybe let's imagine that this is going to be a room, and draw in some few walls. So let's grab our rectangle tool very fast and type in 200 by 3000. Push pull tool, pull this up by 3000. Click on an edge, let's say this one, and choose the move tool. Start moving that along that red axis, along that edge. Click the control key. So now it has created a copy of that line. Let's type 200 and hit enter. Now we have this face and this face. Now we can pull this face out by choosing the push pull tool. Type 2800 Let's click there again, and hit the Ctrl key, and once we do that, it keeps this edge, the original edge, existent and creates a new copy of an extrusion. So let's type 200. Let's bring this again. Now sometimes you can use existing objects as reference points for the end of the pushing and pulling. For example, in this case, while pushing, I can hover over another corner that is existing, and once I click, the operation is complete. Now we have this small office we have built. Triple click on this form that we have built, right click, make group. Let's make this flow much bigger by selecting it, choosing the scale tool, and then pulling these edges. Now we have these scenes that we had set, and we notice they're now no longer relevant because they don't show anything. You can always delete them by right clicking and choosing delete, or you can choose a new view that you like, and then choose, right click on a scene and choose update. Now view 2 now looks like this. This is the new view 2. Let's make this a bit more interesting. Update. Let's rotate our setup here. Make sure all these table elements are grouped by selecting them and choosing group. Rotate this. I missed out that group. $180. And now we have our scene setup. Now you see these walls. Now that we have sort of a busy scene, you want to make your scene easy to organize and edit. Imagine you had to edit this chair. These walls and this table would get in your way, and it would make it quite disturbing because your camera would be like passing through all these planes that you have created. So one way of making this easier and less disturbing is by using what we call the layers tab. So that is found in this default tray, scrolling up and down until you find the layers tray or tags, depending on what version of SketchUp you have. It can be called the tags tray, the tags tab. You can create this, click on this button to add a tag, and which creates a new layer that you can name, let's say walls. And then with the walls selected, scroll all the way up, and in the tab called entity info, choose to apply these walls to a tag that you created, walls. Now once we go back to the tags, you see this eye icon. Once you click on it, it temporarily hides those walls from the scene. So we can do the same for the chair and the table. We have chosen the chair. We create a new tag, name it chair, and then go up to the entity info and choose the chair with the chair selected, choose the tag chair. And now you can turn off the chair, turn off the walls, and then edit your table accordingly. Let's choose this table and also put it in a tag called table. Now you can decide what you want to show and what you want to hide by clicking on these eye icons. So this is a good way to deal with scenes that are very busy. With a model that is too big, that has a lot of things, this is the right way to handle such files. Right, that's it for this one. See you in the next video.